Good morning, and thank you for joining us for our first member chat of 2021. We're very excited to have with us this week fiction writers Andrea Lochen and Jill Stukenberg. Andrea is with us from Johnson Creek, Wisconsin. She is the author of 3 novels and is working on her fourth while in residence this week. Jill is a fiction writer who is raised in Door County and now makes her home in Wausau. This is Jill's second residency at Right On. She was supposed to be with us in June, but that was canceled due to the pandemic. So we're happy that she's here with us this week. Jill had encouraged Andrea to apply for residency after her first experience with us. So it's a very happy coincidence that we have you both with us this week. So thank you for joining us. I wanted to start with asking you, because you both teach English and creative writing at the college level, and you have young children at home. Now, in any normal year, that is a challenge to balance writing and family life and professional life, but it's become even more challenging in this past year. So can you talk about how you both managed to juggle work life, home life, and your writing life? And what does a week away at a residency like Right On offer you that you can't do at home?
I'll tackle this one first, Jill. Maybe we can take turns. So, the short answer to that is that I'm not successfully juggling writing with my teaching and my grading and my parenting and my other household obligations. And so, writing has definitely been on the back burner, even when there's not a global pandemic happening. I do tend to only get my own writing done when I'm not teaching. And so fortunately the colleges, they give us these nice long breaks, which is why Jill and I are both here in January, right? When most writers probably wouldn't be that excited to have that. We have off from the colleges, basically from a little before Christmas until the end of January. We have a nice long luxurious month off. And so that's a time when I normally get some of my own writing done, as well as summer, when we have off for summer break. And so basically about 4 months out of the year I can get some writing done. And even in that time though, I still have kids. It's not like I have, just lots of time to sit and write. And so this week is an amazing gift to be able to write, because I'm here without any obligations or distractions. And it's not only the busyness, because certainly there's an hour I could squirrel away while I'm at home. It's that you don't really have like the mental energy or drive to do it, right? There's always something else to do. There's always laundry that needs to be folded, or emails that need to be replied to, or other things to do. So the fact that you can be in this environment that is literally encouraging you and supporting you and nurturing you. There's a little sign in the kitchen that says write your story. Everything is saying, nope, you're here to write. You have carved out this time to write. This time is a gift. Use it. And so even if that's just brainstorming or drafting or outlining or researching, whatever that is, it's all going towards the book, which is really exciting.
All of those same things. My 7-year-old has been home since March 13th, like with me. And and he does virtual school, and for a time he was doing that with some friends of ours, but then I was home with him. Like Andrea, usually summer is a great writing time for me, but this last summer it just was not. Although I guess I would just only to add to what she said, which I was agreeing with everything you were saying there, Andrea. But I guess what I've tried, like we've all had to adapt in so many different ways, and I tried to write some shorter things, and I wrote a few things about parenting, because it was like, well, this is my life right now. This is the material I have to work with. The headspace, the mental energy for a long project. like a long story or a novel, I need a lot more time for. But when I only have what one of my female mother colleagues calls time confetti, which is you have like just 15-minute chunks of time, like all over the day. When you have time confetti, it precludes that concentration and that, but you can sometimes do some shorter projects. So that's what I tried to do. Although those shorter projects took me months, right? Even though they were short, but it was just enough to make me feel like I had a toe somewhere near the water, you know. Already this morning, it has been such a gift. First of all, I wasn't sleeping really well last night, but I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I was like, oh, if I'm awake right now, I can write it. When I'm home with my child, I can't because I'm watching the clock thinking, no, I gotta school or, I've got to get him online. I've got to teach. I can't afford to just like be awake luxuriously in the middle of the night because I am, like instead I need to, follow all these schedules and I'm, things like making a pot of coffee and just kind of like wandering around the house and looking out the window for 10 minutes, which is, what I did this morning. That's different at my house where my child would be, it makes it sound like I hate him, but I don't, right? But he'd be like tugging on my sleeve and being like, Mom, look at this goblin I just got in this game. So.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I love that expression, time confetti. It's just a wonderful description. Can you tell us about the projects that you're both planning to work on while you're here this week?
Sure, I'll go first briefly. So I am working on a project that I started working on when I was here last January, which I love coming to write on in January. I hope, but I only tell a few people about it because I don't want anyone else to ever start claiming this week. It is the best time to be here. It is beautiful. It is quiet. You just feel like all you want to do is hibernate and write. And although I like, so it's the best time to be here. And I'm working on a novel that's composed of different short stories. And quite frankly, one thing that happened to me also last year with a little bit of writing drought was just the fact of how to deal with COVID in fiction. I was writing contemporary stories that are realistic. And I had a couple of them in mind and a couple more I wanted to write, and they were about a town in central Wisconsin. And once COVID happened, it became a problem for the plot of the novel. And I had to really think about, wait a minute, if I go forward, does COVID happen in my novel or doesn't it? And so there was a lot of time through this spring and this summer where another reason I had a hard time working on my project, just even with all my parenting, I had a hard time sometimes thinking about it because I thought, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But I do think I have an idea about what I'm going to do with it now. I mean, quite frankly, I think it has to be part of the world of the novel. It's been a whole year. It reminds me of how when cell phones first came out, which was like when I was in grad school, Andrea, maybe you were in grad school or college, right? Like when they first became ubiquitous, fiction writers had to suddenly think about, do characters in your novel have cell phones? They either have to or they don't. And it says something about what time it is, and I think it's, anyway, I'm feeling the same way. I'm thinking about COVID a lot with my project right now with that. Like if you're going to have a somewhat realistic setting, it has to be either in the past or the present or the future of the world of your characters. So it's kind of a long answer with a discourse on fiction writing and COVID in the middle there, but that's what I'm thinking about a lot and what I'm writing about this week.
Yeah. Great. How about you, Andrea?
Yeah, so I'm working on my fourth novel. It doesn't have a title yet because I'm horrible with titles. And it is, so all of my novels are kind of considered to be women's fiction with a dash of magical realism in them. I've dealt with time travel. I've dealt with imaginary friends and more time travel. I guess actually a time portal in my last one. I like time travel a lot. And this time I'm tackling a ghost, which is something really new for me. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about it, but it was compelling to me. Like the story would not go away. And so that's what I'm working on now. Not in the way of a spooky haunted scary ghost, but in the way of a ghost who has unfinished business. So what I'm working on is a realtor who's trying to sell a house, and the house has this ghost with unfinished business. And so it's a lot of fun. I had 100 pages of it, and I basically just threw them out and I'm starting over. But I think I'm on the right track right now, and I'm really excited about it.
Good. And this Saturday, you are offering an online workshop with Right on putting the magic in magical realism. Can you talk a little bit more about what about magical realism appeals to you?
Yeah, so I'm drawn to magical realism. I think in part maybe because I'm a Wisconsin girl with a very ordinary, boring upbringing. I did not have any traumatic experiences or things that I think shape other writers. Not saying that all writers, of course, need to have something tragic happen to them in their lives to be writers, but I always, found myself, like, well, my life is kind of ordinary. My life, happy family, happy upbringing, happily married, nothing terrible. So what am I going to write about? And so I find myself drawn to stories that are extraordinary in ways, stories that take reality and shake it up a little and do something unexpected. Sometimes I find myself reading novels that all have the same premise. They all are the same generic story. And so I like to throw in an element that will allow readers to have kind of an escape from the ordinary and, read something a little bit more out there.
Yeah, escaping the ordinary is a very good thing to do now and then. So, and that workshop is this Saturday, January 9th, 11 to noon. That'll be offered via Zoom. So if anyone watching this would like to register, there's still time to do that. And Jill, later this year, you're going to be leading an intergenerational writing workshop for us geared to children, parents, grandparents. What appeals to you about doing workshops or programs across generations?
So last spring, I was able to do a workshop at the Ridges in Bailey's Harbor. This was in January of last year, so it was in the before times, as we can say. And I had imagined the workshop being for children, but some parents came with the children, and it was so fun to have the parents and the people write. And of course, the children were all ages too, which is makes a difference. There's a big difference between a 14-year-old writer and a 7-year-old writer. And so when I was thinking about what kind of workshop to do next, I was thinking a little bit about that. And I guess I was also thinking about how when my 7-year-old tries to talk to his grandparents on Zoom, they're not great conversations. 7-year-olds don't really know how to sustain, sometimes he walks away from the screen because he forgets he's on it, like, right. And I thought, there's so many people who are family members who are maybe even living in different cities or different states who, if they had a game to do with the child on Zoom or on screen, they can connect more. The child can't just come up with small talk. They don't know how to do that yet, right? What, God bless them, they don't know how to do it yet, right? But they don't know it. And so maybe if there's some kind of activity that people could do on Zoom, there's sort of like this idea of how do I make use of the medium? Using breakout rooms in Zoom, people can participate who are in different states and still they can collaborate on one story. So the idea for the workshop is that we can all meet on Zoom, but then I can create breakout rooms so that like perhaps a grandparent and a grandchild or any other family combination can, even if they're in different states, can go into a breakout room to do the brainstorming or the story prompt that I'll have for them. And then we can all come back and share what we did. And so it's kind of just, trying to think about the technology and what it allows. Although the more I think about it, the more I think, of course, intergenerational stories is the heart of what storytelling is about, right? I mean, stories come to us from people wanting to pass things down and so I'm kind of delighting a little bit in how this is like new meets old, right? Brings it maybe something here about intergenerational stories, part of story.
Great, thank you. And we'll be finalizing the date for that this week while you're here. So, but that will most likely be a weekend in February. So be watching our website for the details on that. And I look forward. I remember that program at the Ridges, and it was so wonderful to have the sort of surprise that both parents and children had in what each other created, which was a wonderful thing to witness. So thank you. Wondering if we could close by asking each of you to read an excerpt of your writing, anything that you would like to share with us.
Sure. Do you want to go first, Jill, or would you like me to go first?
I can go first, Andrea, and then you can close it. So I would just like to, going along with this idea of parenting and children, I actually just wanted to read a short excerpt from a nonfiction essay, so true stuff, although I embellish a little bit, that I had published recently on an online magazine called Mother Magazine. And it's about virtual, home school. I'm going to share my screen here so that you can see it and see a picture as I read just a little bit. And then if you want to read more, you can find it online. But so here's the magazine, Mother Magazine. Here's a picture of this is my kid with the blonde hair. And these are his two best friends who are twins. And they did some homeschooling together. Virtual schooling, I should say. I'll read for a little bit of this. And it's kind of in a question answer format. How old or what grade are your children? I have one son who turned 7 in May. That was after 2 months of the two of us home together on lockdown, building blanket forts in the living room, from within which we watched episodes of The Amazing Race from 20 years ago. Online, I learned the race debuted just after 9/11. So Americans first learned to love this show when huddled at home, trying to pretend the world hadn't changed. In the fort, we drew maps of the contestants' routes, tracing Tanzania to Sri Lanka to Florida, all as far away as the neighborhood grocery store that no longer allowed children. How has the pandemic affected your children's schooling? This fall, my child began 2nd grade in the basement of a friend's house with a set of twins who are his best and only friends and best and only enemies, the only other humanoids of his size and kind in his daily sphere. Each kid slips inside their own set of headphones and hunches toward their new teacher, so tiny in her small screen. They keep their headphones on for PE and dance breaks, wires flapping. The grown-ups of the pod rotate in and out according to our work schedules, and it's tight. Sometimes one of us starts a pot of mac and cheese, and the next takes over to add the butter. We discover our families use totally different amounts of butter. I get used to opening and rummaging through the other family's cabinets and kitchen drawers, even changing the toilet paper roll. And I suppose they get used to me being there and doing that. My turns in the basement, I realized I knew very little about what school was like. Pencil sharpeners are far more important than I knew. So too the clock as the minutes lurch towards snack time. The basement is a place of crosstalk, poop jokes, and non sequiturs as the children unmute their mics to shout participate in their different classroom conversations. One day my son leans into his screen to yell how old I am. Then a minute later, my mom was on a swim team, but she never won any races. There are the usual standardized tests, extra sweat inducing with passcodes and technology glitches. Sometimes while listening, the children stand and flap their arms, slowly, like very large birds. Sometimes my son just grabs my arm, holding it as we wait for the page number in the math book. I'll read just this one last section, and then the rest is online if you want to find it at Mother Magazine. How have these changes affected your children? They get angry when they can't find a workbook and throw everything from their desks to the floor. They hiss at each other to be quiet, to mute their mics, to stop tapping or kicking their chair. No one wants to go on the virtual field trip to the school forest, which is an outrage, insult to the name of field trip. Also, they want to be dragons. This comes from a video game they play before and after school on their fun, non-school devices, though at recess, for which we shoo them outdoors, they must settle on role-playing. As the leaves fall and then the first snow flies, our children practice flapping in the yard. They caw, gnash their teeth, guard and hatch imaginary eggs. One day during virtual school, there is a fire drill, glorious, as it is only on the teacher's end. On screen, lights blacken and strobe, and for long, thrilling minutes, she disappears. Our room fills with the sound of wings, the shrieks of dragons. We're the safe ones in our dungeon cave.
That's lovely,
Thanks.
Jill. Thank you. And the rest of that can be read online again at mothermagazine.com. Great. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank
Andrea?
you.
Thanks, Jill. That was awesome. So I'm going to read to you guys from my third novel, Versions of Her, which has a very Door County feel to me because it takes place on a lake house in Wisconsin. It's a fictional lake I made up, Lake Indigo. And it's about two sisters. Melanie is the older and Kelsey is the younger. Oh, am I showing you still the cover or am I showing you the book now?
Showing the cover.
Okay, good. I didn't know if it switched. And they are selling their family house, which has been in their family for 100 years. And their mom recently passed away. And while they're there at the house, they discover that behind this tapestry, which has been hanging in one of the bedrooms for a long time, there is a hidden closet. And when they enter this closet, it actually transports them to the past. So they are able to see their mom's childhood. They're able to see their mom's teenage years, her early married years. They're able to see their own childhoods. I think I'm just going to read a short little section that introduces you to one of the characters. It's told in alternating points of view between Kelsey and Melanie. And I think I'll read you a little bit from Kelsey's point of view. So Kelsey's the younger sister. It had been 15 years since the Kingstodds had inhabited their summer home, 4 years since their mom had passed away, and over a year since the Holloways had given their notice that they were moving out and discontinuing their long-term lease. And now, for whatever reason, Melanie had a fire under her butt to sell the place. When she called Kelsey 2 weeks earlier out of the blue, she launched into her plan as if it were something that they had been discussing and ruminating on for years, instead of a topic never broached before. Melanie had rambled on and on about how the housing market was finally improving, and Lake Indigo had recently been named one of the best summer vacation spots by Midwest Living. And since she had the summer off and could easily come visit, it would be the perfect time to prepare the house to put on the market. But Kelsey didn't have the summer off, and she couldn't imagine weeks or maybe even months of her perfectionist older sister breathing down her neck and scrutinizing every dusty corner of her life. She turned onto the county road that led to the lake, densely thicketed by trees on both sides, and immediately felt a small stirring of nostalgia. It was 20 years ago. She was 8 again, ensconced in the back seat of her parents' station wagon, dreamily watching the lacy patterns of the tree branch shadows dance on the pavement. The prospect of the summer ahead, staying up past her regular bedtime, living in her bathing suit, skipping showers, picking raspberries, and playing with the Fletcher kids, glittered before her eyes like a yellow brick road. Now she rolled all the car windows down, letting in the crisp smell of lake water. It was 1:20, but her urgency to meet Charlene had dissipated. Just a note here, Charlene is the real estate agent. It was a stunning house on a stunning lake. Why wouldn't it sell? And Kelsey suspected Charlene would stand to make a hefty commission off it. Kelsey should be the one with the upper hand, not the premier agent of lakefront properties. And if Melanie were there, she wouldn't be all frazzled, apologetic, and kowtowing. She would tuck her already perfectly smooth, perfectly tidy hazelnut hair behind her ears before striding across the lawn to shake the realtor's hand. Melanie Kingstad Key, she would say, thank you for meeting with me. The road curved sharply, and suddenly Kelsey could see it, the gravel driveway snaking through the trees down toward Lake Indigo and their family summer home. She let out a small sigh as the smudge of violet blue came into view. The lake had been named factually instead of romantically. At certain times of the day, typically around dusk, the water turned the majestic shade of irises. Next appeared the peaked roof of the two-story gray and white Victorian. It was impressive even from that angle. Though Kelsey knew the front with its turret and wraparound porch that faced the lake was considered the prettier approach. She could just make out the Fletcher's red-roofed bungalow next door, then the shiny white sedan parked at the end of the driveway. And I'm going to stop there.
Great, thank you, Andrea. It's lovely. And it does have a Door County feel too.
Doesn't it? I was thinking that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for sharing your work with us and for talking with us this morning. And again, we'll have the opportunity to see Andrea this Saturday with her Magic in Magic Realism class, and with Jill next month for her intergenerational writing workshops. So thank you so much. I hope that you have a wonderful week and look forward to you returning to Write On.
Thank you. And thank you to all the members for your support of this program. It really is phenomenal. And I feel very grateful to have this opportunity to be here. It's really a treat for me to have the space and the time and this beautiful place to come work for a week.
Yes, thank you so much. This is such a hidden little gem. If Jill, you hadn't posted about it on Facebook and shared with me what an amazing opportunity it was, I don't know that I would have heard about it. And so I'm so grateful to be here and to have this luxurious long week in this beautiful house in this beautiful area to get some writing done. So thank you, Jerod. Thank you, the members, and this amazing program.
Great, thank you both.